Yeah. 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 He knew it was his last chance, but he still stepped through the door. One more road, one more decision, one more chance to become more. The night was getting colder, the city barely made a sound. He could feel the weight of every choice that brought him to this ground. He thought about his mother, all the nights she stayed awake. Thought about the promises he made, every promise he could break. He looked up at the streetlights, took a breath and checked his heart. Sometimes life gives you one last moment to decide where you will start. He had been running from his past, but it was running just as fast. Every shadow held the memory, every corner held the past. He had friends who called him family, had people he could trust, but he learned that even strong foundations come covered in dust. There were nights he felt invincible, mornings when he felt alone, trying to build a better future while protecting what he known. He had mistakes he couldn't hide, and some wounds he couldn't name, but he refused to let his worst night become his whole identity. That evening he received a message saying, meet me before it's late. He stared at it for minutes, knowing choices carried weight. He could turn around and disappear, or he could finally face the truth. He could keep repeating yesterday or fight to build something new.
No, it was his last chance. He could feel it in his chest. No more waiting for tomorrow. No more giving fear the rest. One road led him backward, one road led him through. He took one final breath and said, I know what I must do. He knew it was his last chance, so he wouldn't let it pass. He had spent so many years looking through the rearview glass. He knew it was his last chance, and the night was closing in. Sometimes you have to lose your life just to find where you begin.
He knew it was his last chance, so he chose to stand tall. Even when his hands were shaking, he refused to let himself fall. He remembered being younger, thinking time would always wait, thinking every broken promise could be fixed before it's too late. Then he watched the years move faster, watched familiar faces change, learned that love can leave a room without announcing that it's gone. He carried every lesson like a letter in his coat. Every failure was a warning, every victory kept him close. He had mistakes he couldn't hide, and some wounds he couldn't name, but he refused to let his worst day become his whole identity. He had waited for a perfect moment, waited for a perfect sign, but life had never promised either, so he stopped wasting time. He admitted where he failed, admitted where he caused some pain, that he promised not to run from every storm that came again. He didn't know what morning held, but morning had to come, and he wanted to meet tomorrow knowing he had overcome. So he walked away from anger, walked away from empty pride, took the fear he had been hiding and refused to let it drive. He knew the road was difficult, but difficult was not the end. Sometimes the bravest thing you do is choose to start again.
He knew it was his last chance, so he wouldn't let it pass. He had spent too many years looking through the rearview glass. He knew it was his last chance, and the night was closing in. Sometimes you have to lose your life just to find where you begin.
He knew it was his last chance, so he chose to stand tall. Even when his hands were shaking, he refused to let himself fall. The nigga wasn't easy. There were truths he had to hear, words that cut beneath the surface, words he carried for a year. Someone said you still can change, but you have to choose it now. And he finally understood what all the pain was trying to show. He had waited for a perfect moment, waited for a perfect sign, but life had never promised either, so he stopped wasting time. He admitted where he failed, admitted where he caused some pain, that he promised not to run from every storm that came again. He didn't know what morning held, but morning had to come, and he wanted to meet tomorrow knowing he had overcome. So he walked away from anger, walked away from empty pride, took the fear he had been hiding and refused to let it drive. He knew the road was difficult, but difficult was not the end. Sometimes the bravest thing you do is choose to start again.
One last chance, one last choice, one quiet moment to hear his voice. No more hiding, no more blame. He stepped into tomorrow and it change. He knew it was his last chance, so he wouldn't let it pass. He had spent too many years looking through the rearview glass. He knew it was his last chance, and the night was closing in. Sometimes you have to lose your life just to find where you begin.
He knew it was his last chance, so he chose to stand tall. Even when his hands were shaking, he refused